So I believe it's pretty much common knowledge at this point that 2025 is going to be full of expensive failures, especially for Marvel Studios under Walt Disney, of course. We know that everything going on between Bob Iger and the board of directors are really in a constant shakeup right now about the direction of the Walt Disney Company and all of its divisions, essentially, after the recent firings of Pixar, as well as other divisions that are going under the same exact type of situation that's going to progressively occur throughout the rest of 2024, leading into next year. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, at this point we know that Deadpool and Wolverine is the one Marvel movie that really stands any chance to making a decent profit. Now, we know that the ticket sales, the pre-ticket sales, are really breaking a record at this point, which is a good sign for Shawn Levy and Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who worked so hard on this project, who took a stand against Disney and how they got Disney to agree with their overall demands on really just caving into really following up with making this movie a pure R-rated movie. Now, with that being said and all, we know that there's a lot of drama that came along with Deadpool and Wolverine and everything in between. Now, on top of that here, we know that everything related to all of the different cameos in this movie and all of the different plans for the MCU has been nothing more than a mess, alright? There's been a lot of drama happening between different actors and actresses, producers, executives, I mean, the list goes on and on. However, alright, with Bob Iger beginning to panic over the failing divisions at the Walt Disney Company, while at the same time lying to the shareholders and customers, one major development now has much to do with Taylor Swift, who is actively involved with a series of negotiations with the Disney heads and Marvel Studios on not just a major role in the MCU, but also recently fell into heated arguments with Disney after they decided to cut down her surprise cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine after a recent test screening for the film wasn't that well received for the second act of the film that is going through a phase of fine-tuning right now as we speak. It turns out that Swift's role, or more specifically two roles in Deadpool and Wolverine, have been edited drastically, not just in order to reduce the running time of the film, but to also respond to the recent test screening that held tons of criticism. The one major scene that was cut completely for Swift that was decided officially by Bob Iger was the negative reception of Swift playing herself as the performer and singer everyone knows on stage for a concert where both Deadpool and Wolverine are reportedly fighting mutants during a brawl in the crowd. Now, this scene was taking place in the real-world universe and was going to last a whopping 5 minutes long in length. However, to make matters worse for this drama piece at Marvel Studios is that the test screening for the film failed miserably only at the point where Swift's concert scene popped up. This has now been officially cut out completely, and Ryan Reynolds reportedly had creative differences with the Disney heads for making that call, since he knows Swift very well, even though both, of course, Ryan and Swift, and of course the two of them, also had their minor differences on the set about her two roles in the film. That sparked outrage from Taylor and is already beginning to demand the Disney heads to reinstate the scene or to at least put it in the director's cut. Now, Iger and the board held a recent emergency meeting that took place over the direction of the MCU that Swift's presence would bring in fans as far as they are concerned, but didn't want to overdo it at first for the Deadpool film. Swift is still being paid for the scene, however this is sparking aggressive arguments between Swift and those involved in the decision to delete the scene. Now, director Shawn Levy reportedly had no problem with deleting the scene entirely since he wants to please Marvel fans as much as possible, and in the end wanted to keep Taylor's presence down to a bare minimum with a simple cameo instead. However, shockingly, Taylor is already in the talks with Marvel Studios to take part in a major Marvel project that is not associated with Deadpool and Wolverine, and that Deadpool and Wolverine was basically her foot in the door to the MCU for a new Marvel character that fans have never seen before in live action. Now, right now, the battle between Swift and Disney continues, as she is endlessly demanding Disney to include her scene playing herself in the planned Deadpool and Wolverine director's cut for this holiday season, leading into next year. Now, before I move on about that, alright, this is a prime example of how Disney's getting very greedy. The fact that they're using Swift and her audience to kind of drag in viewers to Deadpool and Wolverine, I think is a cheap move, to be honest, guys. I don't know about you, but look, there's no lying about the fact that she does have an audience that follows her. I will never understand it myself. I will be very open about that. Never understood it completely, especially with her at her age right now. But when you look at everything related to the fact that Disney is dragging her audience, dragging her presence into Deadpool and Wolverine, not just for one cameo, but how they almost had her involved in 2 cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine, that was overdoing it as far as I'm concerned. Now, we know that there's been a lot of rumblings that the one cameo where she's not playing herself in Deadpool and Wolverine is reportedly the Dazzler. Alright, we talked about this before in the past. That was the one major giveaway a couple of weeks ago, where on the set they had a costume that was pretty much near similar to the comic version of the Dazzler, where Swift actually got to visit the set because of Ryan Reynolds going in there with her. But what's interesting about this, again, is that we know that Deadpool and Wolverine, regardless, alright, they want this movie to succeed. This way, in 2025, when they're dealing with all of the complications and the challenges for movies like Captain America 4, Blade, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts, they're going to be able to point the finger at 2024 and say, look, hey, I mean, we're capable of doing something good, right? That's what they want to say. So, moving on, alright, the film was originally going to be near 3 hours long in length and was, of course, shaved down due to the recent cutbacks. It is now a tad over 2 hours long. Now, Swift's arguments created awkward drama behind the scenes of Deadpool and Wolverine, as it is, of course, the fact that she continues to talk for taking part in a Marvel series apart from this movie. And that's another thing that I think is going to only really infuriate a lot of fans out there. If you have her star in a Marvel series, I don't really know how regular Marvel fans are going to react to that. I mean, I'm sure that people are going to be like just raising their arms in the air, saying like, Disney, what the heck are you doing? And walking away, of course. But at the same exact time, I don't think it's going to save anything. I don't think it's going to drag in any audience that are Marvel fans, quote unquote. It's only going to drag in Taylor Swift fans to really kind of make this desperate attempt to convert them to Marvel fans. That's Disney's little cheap tactic, little cheap move to kind of enhance the MCU, and it's not going to work at all in the least, as far as I'm concerned. So, I would really love to hear, what everyone has to say about this ongoing scenario, because we already know that Ryan, Sean, Rhett, and Paul, alright, the creators of Deadpool and Wolverine, really, fought through and through to prevent as much nonsense from spilling into this movie as possible. Anything ranging from DEI to cringeworthy dialogue to unnecessary scenes that really just took away from the flow of the film. I mean, they really have really stood up against Disney like we've never seen before. But anyway, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.